Never change who you are for anybody. And I'd be damned if I'm gonna sit there and beg somebody to be with me. If life is too short, you be sitting there begging somebody to stay, and the person that's trying to get to you, all of me can't get to you because you still holding on to the fool that don't want to be there. If somebody want to walk out of your life, let them go.
You can love someone and still choose to say goodbye to them.
It was a temporary blessing. If it was meant to stay, it couldn't leave.
You gotta stop hanging on to someone who has let go of you. Stop losing yourself to someone who has already left you. Forget trying to find closure. Forget trying to find understandings to their reasons. Forget trying to see if they're happy in their new relationship. Stop focusing on them and start focusing on you.
Welcome back.
Never change who you are for anybody. And I'd be damned if I'm gonna sit there and beg somebody to be with me. If life is too short, you be sitting there begging somebody to stay, and the person that's trying to get to you, all of me can't get to you because you still holding on to the fool that don't want to be there. Somebody don't want you, let them go. Sitting there begging for nobody to stay, you better not beg. If somebody want to walk out of your life, let them go. Especially if you know you done everything you can do, you done sat around and been the best man or the best woman you could be, and they still want to go, let them go. Whatever they running after, they'll see what they had in a minute, but by then it's gonna be too late. Because half these people you be sitting around crying about it, worry about 2-3 years from now, you ain't gonna even remember their last name.
You can love someone and still choose to say goodbye to them. You can miss a person every day and still be glad that they're no longer in your life.
Ladies, take the blame off yourself. Men are really, really good at that. Making you think something wrong with you. Oh, real men don't really operate like that. But you got so many men out here from these broken homes. You got so many men out here that ain't had a father figure, that didn't tell them what real men really do. That real men buckle down. That real men meet a woman and put her on a pedestal and treat her like a queen. Real men get taught this. When you don't have a man that's been taught that, you're dealing with a man that don't have all the qualities of manhood.
Let folks go, son. Some people come in your life for a lifetime, some come for a season. You got to know which is which. And you're gonna always mess up when you mix them seasonal people up with lifetime expectations. You can't, they got people that done got married with people they was only supposed to be with for a season. They done got married to people they only supposed to be with for a season and wonder why they having so much hell in their life.
God put people in your life for a reason. Others are there for a season. And it's very important that you recognize when people's seasons are over.
God brings some people in your life to get you from point A to point B. It was a temporary blessing. If it was meant to stay, it couldn't leave.
Sometimes you just gotta accept that certain things will never go back to how they used to be, because certain people will never go back to who they used to be in your life. Sometimes you just gotta wake up and realize that what you're holding on to just doesn't exist anymore. And the more you can accept what is, the less you'll be controlled by what was. You gotta stop hanging on to someone who has let go of you. Stop losing yourself to someone who has already left you. Forget trying to find closure. Forget trying to find understandings to their reasons. Forget trying to see if they're happy in their new relationship. Stop focusing on them and start focusing on you.
Listen, I put everybody that come in my life in the category of a tree. Some people are like leaves on a tree. Wind blow, they over here, they unstable. Blow the other way, they over here. Ain't nothing. Season change, they wither and die, they gone. It's all right. That's some people, most people in the world are like that. They just there to take from the tree. They ain't there to do nothing but take and give shade every now and then. That's all they can do. But don't get mad at people like that. That's who they are. They ain't gonna never be nothing. That's what they put on this earth to be, but be what they are, a leaf. Some people are like a branch on that tree. You gotta be careful with them branches too, because they'll fool you. They'll get there and make you think they're a good friend and they're real strong, but the minute you step out there on them, they'll break and leave you high and dry.
I have learned that every blessing doesn't come to stay. Every friend is not going to be a lifelong friend. And if they walk away, don't stand there and cry over what was, because if you'd have needed them for the future, they would have stayed.
Don't worry about the people that God has removed from your life. He saw things you didn't see. He heard conversations you couldn't hear, and he made moves you wouldn't make.
But if you find you 2 or 3 people in your life that's like the roots at the bottom of that tree, you are blessed, because them the kind of people that ain't going nowhere. They ain't worried about being seen. Don't nobody have to know that they know you. They ain't got to know what they doing for you. But if them roots wasn't there, that tree couldn't live. You understand? And they ain't got a tree can have 100 million branches, but only a few roots down at the bottom to make sure it get everything it needs. I'm telling you something. When you get you some roots, hold on to them. But the rest of it, let it go. Just let it go. Let folks go.
The person that walked away wasn't a coincidence. It was God moving them away. God will never close a door without opening a bigger and a better door. If you'll keep the right attitude, one day you'll look back, Lord, thank you for closing that door. Thank you for moving that person out of my life. I would have never met my amazing spouse.
People who love you don't treat you badly. Love doesn't hurt. It's supposed to feel good.
Letting go can make you unstoppable. I know because I let go of a relationship and reclaimed my life. And I know that letting go can create the best of change for each and every one of you.
When you get to a point in your life where you look at people and you go, okay, wait a minute, you or me, you will make a decision. Because when you telling folks to do something, and I never throw nobody away. I've never in my life just thrown nobody away. Just say, look, don't bother me no more. Don't talk to me. I've never done that. What I do is I tell you, say, look, this thing you doing right here, that's going to cause a problem. You need to fix that, because if we're going to be friends, we're going to be cool, you got to fix that. And if you don't, we're going to have an issue. If you see somebody fix it or they even trying to fix it, that's somebody that care. Keep them people around. That's a leaf that's trying to grow up and be something else. You understand? But if you tell somebody that what you're doing is hurting me and I need you to stop it, and they keep doing it, they don't care. Move on. Let them go. No matter how much it hurts, let them go.
If you've been in a relationship for 12 bad years, do you want to do 12 more? Stop collecting red flags. What y'all saving them for? Sometimes the breakup is the blessing. See, sometimes you got to get rid of a man in order for God to give you the man that you really need. You just have to hang in there. He might have something better for you.
And it'll get easier. I promise you, every day it'll get easier and easier and easier. But you just got to make it through. You hear me, sonny? And CP, you got to learn how to be by yourself, son. People have to learn how to be alone. I don't understand all these people. Oh, I need somebody. Lord, where's my man? Lord, where's my woman? That is crazy as hell. If you don't know how to be by yourself, what you gonna do with somebody else?
It's okay to be alone. So people get freaked out when they're alone. It's okay to be alone. It's okay. It's okay to be alone. There's no big deal. Enjoy it. Do something productive. And build that trust up in yourself. You know, look back at the situation, learn from it. We do that. It's an post-operational debrief. Oh, you've put too much trust in somebody? Cool. They broke your heart? All right, roger that. Let's see. What were the steps? What should I have recognized? How many times did I say, well, you know, they didn't call me, but it's probably just because their phone was out of battery. No. Once your phone runs out of battery once, okay, you don't let it happen again, right? So you start seeing those red flags, see the mistakes that you made, and then look for them next time around. Because you deal with people all the time that they made mistakes the first run. They go back and they make the same mistakes the second run. They go back and make the same mistakes the third run. That's when you got to start blaming yourself on your situation. That's why I said you got to like build a relationship with yourself. You got to learn yourself. You got to trust. You got to learn to trust yourself.
You better know your self-worth. I would sit in a corner by myself with a crayon and a coloring book and be happy. Sitting around waiting on somebody to wonder what the hell you in my house for.
Moving on is less about what you're moving on to and more about what you're moving on from. Okay? It is less about what you're moving on to. Some of us, we stay stagnant. We settle for less. We stay in a situation that isn't good for our life. We stay in a job. We stay in a relationship. We stay in a friendship. We stay in a partnership that isn't good for our life because we don't know what we're going to move on to. We're so afraid to be alone. We're so afraid to go on that journey without, because a lot of us, that's all that we know. We've been codependent on that situation. For me, I was codependent on football. There's relationships in my past that I was codependent on, and I would rather settle for a little bit and settle for less than actually move on with my life. Some of us were so afraid to be alone. We're so afraid to go alone that we will stay stuck in a situation that we know isn't good for our life. So everybody type this in the chat right now so I know that you get it. Moving on is less about what you're moving on to and more about what you're moving on from.
Why am I holding on to this? How is this serving me? And really think about the answer.
I'd rather be in a corner by myself with a puppy and a goldfish and be happy than to be sitting around with somebody in my house. I'm wondering what the hell they there for. You would be surprised the things people put up with just to have somebody to say they love them. I don't understand. I can't live in dysfunction. I'm sorry. I done come through too much, been through too much hell and high water to come there and let you come up in my adult life and when I'm supposed to be at peace and give me all kind of hell. Only two places on this earth you're going to have peace, the grave and your house. Now, if you can't walk up in your house and you ain't got no peace, something wrong. I'm sorry.
When you get a red flag or I say a caution, a yellow blinking light, don't let it go to red. Get it when it's yellow, when the caution is there, that's saying something doesn't feel right. Check in with your friends. Ask them what they think about who you're with. And I'll tell you something, we don't want to do that. We don't want to ask our friends. And I always say this, if you're living a life and having a relationship that you can't tell your friends about what's happening in your relationship, something's wrong. If you've got to keep the secret, something's wrong. It means because I don't want you to know that he's calling me a B. He doesn't really mean that. He only does that when he drinks too much. Mm-hmm. He's not really an alcoholic. That only is because he was stressed last week. Well, last week turns into every kind of day. So part of it is, again, gathering a community, and I call it a truth commission. I have a truth commission in my life. Folks who will tell me the truth even when I don't want to hear it. And we all need that.
Yeah. We all tend to invest ourselves in relationships. And as I said, if you are doing something right with the wrong person, nothing good will turn out. And deep inside, we women are quite intuitive. We know that it's not going anywhere. You are stronger than you think. Don't worry about that. And wait for the right person. Let the right person come to you. There's no rush.
I want to leave him.
Then that's what you should do. You should walk on out on
That's
it.
it. What would you? But that's going to hurt like hell. And I don't...
Baby, just because something hurt like hell don't mean you ain't supposed to do it. Sometimes you got to go through the hurt and the pain and the suffering of whatever it is to get away from somebody that ain't treating you right. Take some time for yourself. Get away from the situation and really think about it, pray about it, talk to God and see what it is.
They are not who you thought they were. The idea that this person was a trustworthy, faithful companion is not true. It is not true. That person does not exist. They didn't exist and they don't exist. It was in your head. It was in your head that this person was trustworthy and they were everything you wanted them to be and they were a faithful companion. That is a lie. They are not that person. They have proved it. They have proved it by their actions. So move on, and at the risk of sounding callous, get over it.
You have a boat, and your boat is at its capacity. In order for your boat to not sink and go underwater, and that could be your career, that could be your life, that could be your personal life, your relationships, is that relationship over? Do you feel mentally, spiritually, and emotionally stimulated in that relationship? Are you just holding on to it because you got this concept of loyalty that you have overused and overabused? Well, I've learned that loyalty has an expiration date. Loyalty isn't some open-ended thing that just goes on forever. Because technically, some people just don't really make sense for your life and the new season, the mind and the space that you're in. Think about this. This is a reminder that loyalty has an expiration date.
In retrospect, I know why I stayed in an unhealthy relationship for 6 years. In my mind, I could not do any better. In my mind, there was no way that anyone else would be attracted to me. So I stayed. But eventually, I came to realize that I was not lucky to have him, but he was lucky to have me. I came to realize that I deserved better. You see, setting higher standards might mean that you have to wait a little longer than you anticipated, but getting what you deserve will be worth the wait.
Think of all the times you let a man treat you badly, or someone, your friends, walk all over you. How many times have you let hurtful words or criticism crush you? Well, I was one of those people who was raised not to have a lot of self-esteem. And I know anybody else who was physically violated as a child, as I was, got whippings every day. The lesson of a whipping, the lesson of being heavily disciplined with violence is that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough. And so it takes a long time to get a sense of self-worth and self-value. And so I was in my 20s doing what everybody in their 20s does and looking for love in all the wrong places and looking to be validated by somebody else's view of who I was and wanting them to say, I'm okay. Yes, you're okay. You're okay. And I've done some really embarrassing, ridiculous, crazy ass things over the years, holding onto the bumper of a Datsun Z like I could actually keep him from pulling off. And I remember one time he had left and slammed the door on my hand. And I had, just like a lot of women, had the barrier of, well, you can say anything to me, but you cannot hit me. You cannot hit me. He didn't hit me, but the door slammed on my hand. And I thought, well, that's coming close. That's coming very close. And I remember the door slamming on my hand, falling to the floor. And in front of me was a mirror. And I saw myself on the floor with my hand now bruised and thinking, I have become the woman that I watched my cousin Alice be my whole life as a kid. The only difference is that I'm battered in spirit. And the next step is going to be, who knows? So lying there on the floor is the moment I made that decision that I have now become a woman that I never imagined myself to be. And I got to figure out how to get myself out of this. And that was the beginning of the lesson, which is I'm hoping happens to you tonight.
Frequent breakups and makeups, high highs and low lows. As tension rises, so does volatility. Tearful, frustrated fights followed by emotional makeups. Hateful and hurtful comments like, you're worthless, I'm not even sure why I'm with you. Followed quickly by apologies and promises it will never happen again. By this point, you've been so conditioned to this relationship roller coaster that you may not realize how unhealthy and maybe even dangerous your relationship has become. It can be really hard to see when unhealthy love turns towards abuse. But it's fair to say that the more of these markers your relationship might have, the more unhealthy and maybe dangerous your relationship could be. And if your instinct is to break up and leave, which is advice so many of us give our friends when they're in unhealthy relationships, that's not always the best advice. Time of breakup can be a real trigger for violence. If you fear you might be headed towards abuse or in abuse, you need to consult with experts to get the advice on how to leave safely. But it's not just about romantic relationships, and it's not just about violence. Understanding the signs of unhealthy love can help you audit and understand nearly every relationship in your life. For the first time, you might understand why you're disappointed in a friendship, or why every interaction with a certain family member leaves you discouraged and anxious. You might even begin to see how your own intensity and jealousy is causing problems with colleagues at work. Understanding is the first step to improving. And while you can't make every unhealthy relationship healthy, some you're going to have to leave behind, you can do your part every day to do relationships better. And here's the exciting news. It's actually not rocket science. Open communication, mutual respect, kindness, patience, we can practice these things every day. And while practice will definitely make you better, I have to promise you it's also not going to make you perfect. I do this for a living. Every day I think and talk about healthy relationships, and still I do unhealthy things. Just the other day, as I was trying to shuttle my 4 kids out the door amidst quarreling, squabbling, and complaints about breakfast, I completely lost it. With an intentionally angry edge, I screamed, "Everybody just shut up and do what I say. You are the worst. I'm going to take away screen time and dessert and anything else you could possibly ever enjoy in life." Anybody been there? Volatility, belittling. My oldest son turned around and looked at me and said, "Mom, that's not love." For a minute, I really wanted to kill him for calling me out, trust me. But then I gathered myself and I thought, you know what, I'm actually proud. I'm proud that he has a language to make me pause. I want all of my kids to understand what the bar should be for how they're treated, and to have a language and a voice to use when that bar is not met versus just accepting it.
You could never see yourself not being with that person. But at a certain point, all of the signs and wonders revealed itself that that relationship is over. So if you had drugged that person, those people, those friends, into the new season of your life wouldn't be going as well as it's going right now.
Behind every moment of adversity in your life, there is a blessing and a lesson. Every moment of adversity has those two things. Pain always leaves a gift.
God has a plan. You will grow through what you go through. Everything that you're going through, at some point, it makes no sense to you right now. But at some point, God is going to reveal to you why all of these issues, challenges, and problems continue to show up, and what you were supposed to learn from it.
God knows what you're going to need in the future. Many of the challenges that you're facing now, they don't have anything to do with now. It's positioning you for something in your future. We all have things happen to us in life that we don't understand. Doors that have closed, or people that have turned on us. It's easy to live frustrated and fight against everything we don't like. We think that it's holding us back. Everything serves His plan. Not just the good things. The person that walked away is serving His plan. If that wouldn't have happened, you couldn't reach your destiny. What you couldn't see was God had something better. You may not like it. It doesn't seem fair, but it's serving His plan. When you understand that everything serves His plan, then you won't live frustrated. You won't get upset because you didn't get your way. The person that walked away wasn't a coincidence. It was God moving them away. We need to see difficulties in a new light. How do you know that closed door, that disappointment, is not setting you up for something that you've never seen? The scripture says our steps are being ordered by the Lord. If you weren't supposed to be there, you wouldn't be there. Don't be upset over that person that's trying to make you look bad. You need them to reach your destiny. It wasn't a coincidence. It's positioning you for something bigger. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're going backwards. You have to trust Him when you don't understand. All things work together for good to those that love the Lord. Now the test, while it's not good, will you stay in faith? When it's unfair, will you believe that God is still on the throne? That what He started in your life, He's going to finish? God will use people being against you to move you into your purpose. You need people that try to throw you into the pit so you can take your throne. People can't override what God has ordained for you. I wonder if you're upset over something that's serving His plan. Instead of complaining about what's not turning around, see that as an opportunity to develop your faith. Keep doing the right thing when the wrong thing is happening. Keep thanking God when you don't see any sign of it. His grace doesn't mean He's going to remove every challenge. It means He's going to increase your strength so it doesn't feel as difficult. Now you can handle what you couldn't handle in the past. What used to bother you doesn't bother you anymore. We don't grow in the good times. Everyone is for us. Things are falling into place. We grow when it's difficult, when we have to stretch. That's why you can't pray away every challenge. And if the situation is not changing, then God is using the situation to change you. If God made everything easy for us, we wouldn't be ready for where we're going. God has amazing things in your future. But to get there, you're going to have to defeat some big giants, outlast some strong opposition. Now, you have to stand strong and show the opposition that you're more determined than they are. That challenge is not going to defeat you, it's going to promote you.
What do you do when what God gave you to ride in starts coming apart? Do you give up hope? Do you walk away? I don't want you to define success or to ask God to preserve the temporary. See, God promised to get you there, but He didn't say how. And if you're not careful, you will put all your energy and you'll put all of your work into preserving something that God only gave you for a season. The thing you was counting on to get you to the other side. The job you thought you'd retire with. The house you thought you'd have the rest of your life. And the storm got it. How many of you have lost some stuff in the storm? Lost some people in the storm, and it made you feel like a failure. It was a temporary blessing. If it was meant to stay, it couldn't leave.
I just wanted to highlight that abuse is unacceptable, and I lived it for 10 years with my abuser, my then husband, and it's something that I felt very ashamed about. And when you're in an abusive relationship, you don't want anybody to know that. It's very embarrassing, and you feel very riddled with shame and guilt. And when I left my abuser, I was wanting to speak about it loud and proud, like this is not okay, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I got out, and it took me 10 years to find the courage to actually leave that behind.
Some people are not equipped to handle the altitudes that you're going to, so don't be upset and cry when they fall off. Actually, they're not bad people. They just couldn't go the altitude that you're going. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If they're already showing you their true colors, believe them and let them go. And don't try to convince yourself that maybe someday they will change. Some people never change. They just become more of who they already are. Maybe the person you love deeply left you, or might have cheated on you. There could be any reason, and you want that person to still stay in your life. Trust me, you're doing it all wrong. You need to let them go. So believe it. One thing you should keep in mind for the rest of your life is if a person leaves you easily, he or she was never really meant for you. Every moment of adversity leaves two things behind: a blessing and a lesson. Sometimes you have to get rid of a person in order for God to give you a person that you really need in life. All you have to do is trust God. Say these words to yourself every morning: I am whole, I am enough, and I am perfect as I was created. I am whole, I am enough, and I am perfect as I was created.
That's all for the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button and share. Also leave a comment if you have a topic you want us to cover. Until next time, take care.